Hello, guys.
I,
Today, I would like to ask you a couple of questions of how to become Dutch, how to adapt to a new culture, language, and people. So, we will discuss the 10 most important questions and answers on becoming Dutch in order to help newcomers to reveal their growth potential in a foreign country. In this interview, Elizabeth Hepburn and John Boyer from the United States will share some secrets of how to adapt to a new culture, language, job, and people. Let's start with introduction. If you don't mind, I first tell something about myself. Very short. My name is Tsarina, and I am the owner of Tsarina Translations and Language School. So now about you. Please tell us where are you from, what do you do, and just a short introduction.
After you.
okay. I'm Liz, and I'm from the US, as you mentioned. I work for AIHR as a content team lead. In that role, I build e-learning programs for HR professionals. Yeah.
And I'm John. I'm an accountant. Um, and I'll say some other fun fact that we've lived in the Netherlands for about 4.5 years now.
Mhm.
I'm also from the US. That's
So
yeah. Anything else I should add?
yeah, you are just a couple. You are
Yeah, we're married.
married. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And what made you choose to start your life in the Netherlands?
We both years ago developed a love of traveling. And as we saw more and more, visited more and more places outside of the US, we thought it would be really great to live outside of the US. And Liz actually lived in Turkey for over a year before we moved here together. And the reason that we chose the Netherlands, in short, is because this is where I got a job offer. But also, in general, the Netherlands is very welcoming to expats and foreigners, and has a lot of infrastructure set up to help foreigners move here. So it was a pretty easy choice. I think it was one of the countries that welcomed us to move.
Nice, nice, very nice that you had so easy, easy flow into the Dutch culture.
Mm.
Can you tell me about a specific thing you had never done before
In
you're
the
doing here? Yeah.
Well, I think maybe there are more of those for you than for me.
Maybe. I don't know if there's anything I had never done before, but something that's very well. I had never bicycled to work. No, that's not true. I did bike to work in the U.S., um, but like biking, cycling absolutely everywhere is something that I didn't do in the U.S.
You had never not owned a car
That's
in your adult
true.
life.
I don't own a car here.
Yeah.
It's,
Other things that we had never done.
I've never lived below sea level.
That's true.
Yes, a good one.
Yeah.
Although we're on the fourth floor of our apartment building, so I think even if the flooding comes here, we're still above the water.
Yeah, yeah, nice there. And describe a situation in which you embraced a certain cultural aspect of the Netherlands, maybe the language or people.
Mm. I think we took very well to bottle culture.
I was going to say Borrell also.
Yeah, I think we really enjoy that aspect of the Netherlands. I mean, apart from the obvious reasons, of beer and food, I think something I really appreciate is the Dutch desire to be together and share in conversation and enjoy each other's company, especially if it's a nice day. You can see, at least in Amsterdam, you can see sort of the streets full of people setting up little tables on the sidewalk after work, and this is really really special, really nice part of the culture, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. It's not much of a stretch because it is, beer and snacks are, I think, universally loved. Well, maybe not. Not everyone loves beer, but that was definitely an easy
I think it's more
adoption.
about the feeling, the environment, the mood of the
Yeah.
borough more than the beer or the food. Although that helps.
I like the beer.
Yeah.
And you don't have this custom in the US?
Kind of. It's more of like a happy hour sort of feeling, but it's a little less warm, I think.
It's similar but different.
Yeah.
I like that you could just go to the grocery store and there's a lot of the stores have a Boral section, and there's just lots of little like pre-made things that you can buy so that you can have, if you're hosting or you're going to a friend's place, it's easy to get all the little food. Like it's really enforced. Or not enforced, encouraged.
It's cultural.
Yeah.
It's also encouraged buying.
Yeah. That's true.
It's like a strategy too, but it's also nice. Yeah, I like it too. Yeah. And also you can socialize with some Dutch people. So
Yeah, that's true.
and another side, describe a situation in which you were embarrassed or ashamed, or maybe felt uncomfortable or awkward here, and how did you handle it?
I can think of many of these.
Yeah.
I think this is going to happen. This is just going to happen when you take up residence in a place that you're not familiar with. It's just part of the experience. One thing that comes to mind for me, let's see. So I was cycling once a couple of summers ago, and my pants got stuck in the gears of the chain of my bike. They got really, really stuck, and I couldn't pedal any further, and I couldn't pull them out. And I had to stop my bike. But the area where it happened, it was very crowded and very narrow, and I couldn't get off my bike, and I couldn't move forward, and I couldn't take off my pants, right? Oh. So I had to, I was sort of, I can't really describe it very well. I was in a very awkward sort of position on a very narrow street, and there were cars trying to go past, and I was trying to pull my pants out of the chain and not push other people into the cars and not get hit by a car. And I just remember being like, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, go ahead. I'm gonna just here. I'm just gonna wait here until I die. It's fine. And I finally got my pen pulled out. It took me a long time.
You survived.
I did survive. I
did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was quite embarrassing and quite awkward.
Yeah, I can't think of anything culturally kind of embarrassing. Yeah. But because I have the same kind of thoughts of you as you. When it comes to everyday things that maybe people don't think of, like cycling in a city. I mean, Amsterdam has a really, I think, aggressive cycling environment. We've had Dutch people from outside of Amsterdam, and they say, oh no, Amsterdam is, cycling there is scary. So the first few months living here and cycling to the office, you're constantly am I in the right lane? Is this a bike lane? Am I in the right place? Am I going to run in? Am I going to run into somebody? Yeah. So that took some getting used to, I think. But that's more just learning about the environment of a city, I think. I don't think we have any sort of culturally embarrassing stories.
I'm sure we do.
At least it hasn't ingrained itself in your head.
Anyway, you are exploring new ways of living and new ways of working, and but maybe you can describe a time when you felt stressed or overwhelmed.
I always feel so. Our Dutch is not very good.
Terrible.
It's pretty bad. Heel slecht. And we have some Dutch friends who often invite us to large parties when they have them.
Pre-corona time.
Pre-corona, of course. Yeah. And when we go to these parties, we're the only people there who aren't Dutch, which is, in one way, it's kind of an honor. Like, it's nice.
It's nice to be invited.
But on the other hand, it feels very awkward and embarrassing and kind of wrong that the whole party has to switch to English for us.
Only the people around us.
Only the people around us. But, like, you know, if we want to be socializing, we need to ask people in their own country, their own home, their own environment to sort of make an accommodation for us. And I feel really uncomfortable about that.
To be clear, no one has ever made us feel uncomfortable. Like, everyone's always seems more than happy to speak with us in English, but we just acknowledge that
it's not fair of us.
Yeah, that we're the people that are asking others to sort of change in order to accommodate us at a party.
Oh,
that's always quite stressful, I think. Always very, very enjoyable, but we feel guilty.
But maybe there will be time when you speak good Dutch, and then people do not need to speak English with you, or
I hope so.
You hope? Yeah. And what's actually the biggest misconception the natives have about you, and why do they think that?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know what the biggest misconception would be. There's a lot of, I think this is true of every country, but there's a lot of, I think, stereotypes of Americans or American tourists. But everyone that we've talked to, you know, understands that people are individuals, and the US, like many other countries, is an enormous place with lots of different people. I can't think, nothing jumps out immediately.
It's interesting the kind of cultural touchstones that people offer us. We get when Donald Trump was in office, most of the sort of small talk that, at least that I was involved in, was about Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was tiresome because he was horrible to think about, especially horrible to think about all the time. But I think, you know, that's sort of what the entire world was hearing at that time, so it makes sense. But since then, we get a lot of people, like if we go to a restaurant, we recently had a waiter ask us if we liked The View, which is a TV show in the US that...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was very funny.
It's not really, I didn't really watch it, but it was interesting. It's interesting how the touch points that people want to engage with us on change over time.
Yeah, and maybe you are not interested in politics at all.
Not every conversation for 4 years.
Yeah, especially that one.
And do you ever feel judged on it or something else?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a little bit.
I think so.
But it's just sort of a normal thing. I think for me, when it comes to like misconceptions or something, I had a pretty sort of stereotypical American life, I guess. So if people are thinking about, you know, what you've seen in movies from the US, and like, here's what school looked like, and taking the bus to school, and here's what your house looked like, that looked a lot like my school and my house and things. So a lot of these references that people have from culture, for me at least, are pretty accurate. So people don't have many misconceptions.
Yeah. I think one example of a time that I think both of us felt a little judged. We were walking through a particularly touristy city, just
Oh, but this was in Belgium.
talking to each other. Was it in Belgium?
It was in Belgium.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, sorry.
Never mind. You can tell your story.
Well, so we were just walking in this, I guess it was in Ghent.
Bruges.
It was in Bruges. Okay. We were walking down the street. We were minding our own business. We were having a conversation, and a young guy came up to us and said, "Sorry, excuse me. Can I just ask you, are you guys American?" And we said,
Yes.
"Yeah." And he turned to the woman that he was with and he said, "See, I told you I could pick out Americans." We're like, "Oh no."
Very bizarre.
That was a moment where I think both of us felt he wasn't being rude, but like
we were like,
there was definitely a judgment happening.
What are we
there.
doing? Yeah, we were trying to figure out what are we. Yeah. We weren't wearing like American flags.
Yeah, what did you do? Why did he?
We should have asked. Hey, excuse me.
I think it's you. You're very loud.
I am very loud.
Oh, you said excuse me or to them?
We didn't,
no.
We should have asked. We'd be like, what? We were just kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Like,
we
okay, have a nice day.
Okay. Yeah. And then actually it's a good answer that you are very open. So and tell me about one of your favorite experiences in the Netherlands now.
Ooh. One thing that I think we both really like is how, at least in Amsterdam especially, but a lot of the Netherlands as a whole, it's very international. Like both of us, our circle of friends is relatively international, but especially our work culture and colleagues are from kind of all over the world. And like in my office, in my team, I have people from France and from countries in Eastern Europe and from South America and from lots of different places. And I like that there are lots of different people in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. That's something that I really like a lot. It's not like one experience, but in general, that's something we like about.
And do you easily make friends here with Dutch people, or?
I would say that a lot of expat friends, the majority of our friends are not Dutch, and I think that's because naturally when you're people that move here and you're trying to meet other people, you're trying to meet people with shared experiences, so you befriend other people that have also moved here.
Yeah.
And we have other friends from the U.S. and Canada and France and
Russia and
South
Greece.
Africa and Russia and Greece. And we have some Dutch friends, but it's kind of our friend group is just people from everywhere.
Okay. And what are exactly the characteristics of Dutch people you like or you don't like? What should they do to be your friends?
What should Dutch people do to be our friends, or what should we do?
No, yeah. What are characteristics of the Dutch? Maybe some character traits which attract you to Dutch people. So how could they be your friends?
One thing that I appreciate about Dutch culture, I don't know if this is true of all Dutch people, certainly, but one thing I appreciate is that Dutch people, in my experience, tend to be involved in things. And I think this based on some conversations I've had with people who, for example, have Dutch neighbors, this can be a blessing or a curse, but I think it shows up really, I think it shows up in a really positive way when there is a problem or something needs to be done or taken care of. I think Dutch people will be prone to help and to get involved when something when somebody needs help, like I don't know, if someone has a bicycle accident, I've seen people really very quickly spring into action and make sure that the person is okay and take care of the world around them, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. And you, John?
I don't know that I have anything remarkable to say to that question. My experience so far just is that the people that we meet are all individuals. I think there's,
Yeah.
you know, there's certainly stereotypes about or like common characteristics on any culture, but I don't know how true or not true those are. But everyone that we've, you know, met or befriended has been welcoming and friendly. So I don't think I have a good answer to that one.
Okay, okay. And Elise, what is your favorite experience in the Netherlands? Or one of them? What do you like to do, maybe, or where do you like to go, or
So one of my favorite things to do in Amsterdam is to take a boat out on the canals. And I'm sure that this is lovely in any city where there's a canal, although we've only done it here. But I think, you know, having a little open boat with a little picnic with a couple of friends, a little borrel on a boat, is just a really delightful way to spend any period of a day. I especially like it, for some reason, I like it a lot in the evening when the light is kind of nice and soft. And it's just, you know, cities in the Netherlands are so beautiful. And it's such a nice, unique way, I think, to see a different angle of such a charming place.
And in Amsterdam, you can take a boat past the zoo. So sometimes you get to see a giraffe or an
It's
elephant.
true.
it's funny, nice. Yeah, great. Yeah. And tell me about something you really miss from your own culture.
Ooh.
This is not cultural. I guess maybe it's cultural. The thing that I miss most from the US is just various types of food. I think.
I was gonna say like bad.
What do you miss?
Like I want to go to a Wendy's.
Oh, Wendy's.
But also good food. Like I just all kinds of food. There is a lot of food that either I can't get here or that I think I can. Here's a great example: bagels.
Mm-hmm.
I love bagels, and I just can't find a good bagel in the Netherlands. I just can't. I just can't, and it makes me very sad. So that's the thing I miss a lot.
Yeah. What else? What else from the food you miss? What do you like?
When we first, it sounds stereotypically American, but I really like a good hamburger. And when we first moved here, it took us a while until we found restaurants that had burgers that we liked. Now I think we found a few places that have good burgers, but it took a while. I miss there are some restaurants in the US that had where we would go just to get a burger and a beer that I don't know why. It's just it feels better.
You do not go to McDonald's?
Oh, I don't. You do.
I do. That's different. McDonald's. I'm not talking about a McDonald's burger, which I still like, but it's more like that's a guilty pleasure. I want something like this huge, better quality.
I don't even want something huge. I just want nice quality, like fresh kind of ingredients that are put together. I don't know. It's
the bread. Sometimes the bread
it's
doesn't.
the bread. It's the meat. It's the ratio of ingredients. It's hard to get it right. It's harder to get it right than I realized. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. I have eaten the real hamburger in New York hamburger or New York with steak inside. So it was very nice. Yeah.
I will say in general, the food portions here are better.
Oh, definitely.
compared to the US.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in the US there are so big portions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And here you are probably always hungry.
It's about,
No.
it's more appropriate for like the amount of food that you're
Yeah.
going to eat. It's like, yeah, I can eat this meal and feel content.
Mhm. Yeah.
Where in the US, sometimes you have food and then if you finish it, it's too much. So then you take food home. I
Mm.
don't know, it seems. And if you're me, you forget it and you leave the leftovers at the restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's better.
Yeah, yeah, in a doggy bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what do you miss, John, from United States? Do you have some?
Um, Not much. I think culturally, we miss our family and friends that live in the US. I'd be happy if they were here and closer. Um, One thing I miss is this is geographical and not cultural. I miss having some changes in elevation. The Netherlands is a very flat country, which is excellent for cycling. And I love the cycling infrastructure here. But at least where we're from in the US, there's like some small mountains and you can sort of go hiking and that's something that is, if you want that here, you have to go to Limburg probably or go into Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So it's harder to find that kind of nature.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And tell me about the biggest challenge you have had to deal with in the Netherlands.
Um, I don't know that we've had any very big challenges. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is actually a good thing because when we moved here, we were not married. Um, and I got a permit to work here. And what's nice is that the Netherlands recognizes an unmarried partner as being like still being a couple. You don't have to be married. And so she was also able to get permission to live and work here. The challenge was that we had to submit a lot of documentation and materials in order for that to work because you sort of have to prove that you're like a real couple.
Mm-hmm.
We had to send things back to the US to get certain certifications and stuff. But ultimately, it was fine. It just took a few months and required a lot of paperwork. But it was really nice that we could do that. Other challenges?
For me, I think the biggest challenge that I had was finding a job when we got here.
Mm.
Part of that is because it took several months for me to have permission to work in the Netherlands. So we came on his visa. We had to go through that process that he just described. But when I first came here, I was working I was planning to work as an English teacher. I had worked as an English teacher for several years before.
Oh.
And at least in our city, the teaching culture, I guess, is a little different. The teaching, I don't know, the way it's set up is a little different. In Amsterdam, it's not common to have a contract with one institution. Actually, maybe you can tell me if this is common in the whole Netherlands. It's not common to have a contract with one school. Teachers are usually freelance and you teach with lots of different schools and have private students and you're sort of registered separately with the KVK. Is that common in the whole Netherlands?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Just Amsterdam.
Just Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a challenge for me because there was this whole, I had to set up a business and I had to understand like how many hours was I allowed to work with this school and how many hours did I have to work at this school to be an independent contractor.
Mm.
And it eventually worked out and I worked as a teacher for, I want to say 4 years, I think, maybe 3.5.
Yeah, about that.
And it worked out fine.
In secondary school or where? Where did you work?
I taught adults. So I was teaching business English. I was teaching English for specific purposes. Or I also did just sort of general courses and one-to-one lessons, pronunciation, coaching, that kind of thing. So it eventually worked out, but it took a couple months, and it was kind of confusing and a little bit difficult to do.
So you don't do it there anymore?
No, I decided to pursue a different kind of education in October of last year. So I'm still working in education, but I'm not doing language training directly anymore.
And describe a time when you applied for this job. How did it go? What you have now?
My current job?
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to start actively looking for a new job, I guess, in about April of 2020. And I did a lot of work. I did a lot of independent work on my CV and on my LinkedIn, and I took some seminars, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it took me some time to feel ready to start sending CVs. And I think I probably sent 40 CVs, 40 applications. And I, for the most part, didn't receive any any response.
Oh.
I occasionally, actually, wait, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't receive responses from anyone except my current company. No, I got some rejections, but I'm sorry, I didn't receive any responses for next steps except for my current company.
Sure.
And once that process got started, it went very quickly. I had a first interview via Zoom in 1 week, and I had an interview in person the next week. And then I started 3 weeks later, something like that.
And how did your interview go? What did you have difficult questions, or what did they ask?
It was a difficult interview. Yeah, it was. I also had to complete a lot of work tests. I probably invested in total 12 or 14 hours in a series of work tests. And I think that's ultimately what got me the job. I think the work test was what they were looking for. The interviews were quite difficult because the company I work for is an HR company, and I have no experience in HR. And they're a startup, and they kind of weren't exactly sure what they were looking for, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking for. So it was a difficult interview, but it worked out.
What were mainly the questions?
I got a lot of questions about culture in terms of the company. So what they were looking to see if I would be a good cultural fit. So I was asked a lot about my preferred working styles. I was asked a lot about past projects that motivated me and past projects that didn't motivate me. I was asked 3 specific situational questions that I don't remember off the top of my head, but they were quite challenging. And yeah.
Yeah, sounds like difficult when you're telling about this. So you did your best.
I did my best.
Well, you got the job.
I got the job.
Yeah, because you accepted that the change is inevitable. So yeah, and focused on how you can be successful here and to adapt. Yeah,
that's true.
And tell me about the toughest decision you had to make here.
You're asking us all these questions about like negative experiences, but we haven't had very many.
No, just maybe you can give some advice to our listeners how to overcome any problems, or it's actually maybe toughest decision in the last 6 months, it would be easier for you to remember?
Well, okay, I can give you an example, although our decision so far has mostly been not to make a decision. We've been recently thinking about whether or not we want to move from our apartment. This is the first apartment that the only apartment that we've lived in the Netherlands. And in general, we're quite happy with it. We really like it very much. It's, very affordable, and it's in a really great place. And we feel very at home here. But after Corona, being at home so much, we're just like a little bit like ready for a change of scenery. So we've been thinking, should we rent a new place? Should we stay here? Should we buy a place? And that was a big theme for us for a couple of months. But ultimately, I think we've decided not to decide.
We're still here. Yeah.
We're still here.
It was the toughest decision.
Yeah, kind of.
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I can speak from some experience of talking with other expats. I think a lot of people find that housing decisions in the Netherlands can be really, really difficult.
That's true. Yeah. It's a very dense country that needs more houses. So that does pose a challenge.
Yeah. And was it a difficult decision to move here? No, it was just very easy decision because John had a job here, and you are still doing that job.
It's a different job now than the one I took when I originally moved here. But yeah, it was an easy decision to move here initially, partly because the opportunity was a good one, but also because we had been to Amsterdam before very briefly and really liked it. We knew it was a nice city. And we had not seen much of the rest of the Netherlands at that point. Mm-hmm. But, Amsterdam specifically, we were keen to move here. So it was a pretty easy in the sense, at least for me, I never lived outside of the US.
Oh.
So it was a big decision to make to leave the US, but actually moving here was the easier part of that decision, I think.
And for you, Elizabeth, because John had a job, but you moved here, you didn't have a job, or what were your plans?
It wasn't a difficult decision because I didn't have a job. I was very unhappy in the job that I was doing in the States.
Okay.
So it was very easy for me to want to come here. And I wasn't super concerned about finding work. In retrospect, I should have been a little bit more concerned since, as I mentioned before, it took a little more time and it was a little more difficult to find work right away. But it still was definitely the right decision. I wasn't worried.
Okay, yeah. And what's the biggest goal you achieved here?
Ooh.
I think...
I wish it would have been to have gained at least some fluency in Dutch, but we haven't done that yet.
We haven't done that yet. But we have, I think the most important goal is that we wanted to be happy. And I think we are.
Oh, nice, guys. Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we've accomplished is this is home.
Yeah.
We used to, it took a little while, but now this is the place that we call home. Well, I also call home in the US. So we're going to go to the US next month, and I say that we're going home. But then whenever we leave the US, I'm going to say we're going home when we come.
Funny, yeah. You have two homes.
Yeah. But we've been here for over 4 years. We love the sort of life we have here and our friends and the environment we live in. So it's because I think a lot of people, especially expats, come here with the goal of being here for just a short period of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was initially our thought that we would come for 2 to 4 years maybe, and then um, my job might find the possibility for us to move somewhere else. And we've ended up staying for, like I said, more than 4 years. We want to keep staying here. So
Hmm,
we've just, really fallen in love with the place. So
nice.
that's, you know, will we stay here forever? I don't know, but we don't have any plans to leave at the moment.
Until you got a new offer for a new job somewhere else.
That helped.
And did you get married here in the Netherlands or in United States?
We got married in the U.S. We would have loved to get married here, but so many friends and family were in the U.S. It just
Oh,
wasn't
right.
possible for them to all travel here. But we did have some friends from here travel to the U.S. for the
Oh,
weddings.
really? Nice. Hmm. Very nice. So you could manage it before COVID?
Yeah, 4 months before COVID, we got married.
Yes, yes, we were very lucky.
Yeah, you are lucky. Nice, guys. And what is your vision for future?
Great question. Yeah, we haven't decided
anything.
Yeah.
You're very flexible.
Yeah, kind of. We're just kind of waiting to see what we want as it comes. We're very fortunate to be in a position to do that, to not have to plan. But it feels like, yeah, I guess that's kind of a luxury that we're enjoying at the moment. We don't have to plan for anything.
We're not forced to make any decisions at the moment, so we're just kind of enjoying the time we have here right now. And we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, nice. Just welcome the unexpected.
Yeah. Hopefully not too much more unexpected after this last year.
Oh. Yeah. And I would like also to ask a couple of questions about learning a new language, because firstly you need to learn Dutch actually. The first question is why is it so important to learn a new language quickly? What do you think?
I would say it is important if you want to be more immersed in the culture. I think there's, like I said, I feel like if we knew more Dutch, we would have more Dutch friends probably. Yeah. Most of our friends are our fellow expats. And I love all of our friends, but and the Netherlands is very it's a very English speaking, or at least Amsterdam, and I think the big cities. I mean, you can certainly live your life speaking English, but I think you miss out on the opportunity to, I think, experience more cultural things if you don't speak Dutch. So that's one reason that I would like to learn it.
Are you asking specifically about Dutch, or are you asking about language learning in general?
This question was about Dutch, but the next question is about learning language in general, because I wanted to ask what is the one most important thing to you in how to learn a new language?
Can I give you top 3?
Yes, exactly. It's good. 3 or 5. It's even better.
So the most important thing when it comes to learning a language is to use it, to speak it. So find places where you can practice your speaking, especially. It's, having apps like Duolingo and this kind of thing are helpful. You can learn some vocabulary, you can learn some grammar a little bit, but they're never going to help you communicate with another person. So if you want to communicate, you just have to communicate and make your mistakes. I think another thing that has helped me learn other languages, not Dutch yet, but
not Dutch. Which languages do you speak, Liz?
Well, when I lived in Turkey, I spoke Turkish, like at a B1 level, low B1.
Okay.
Well, but I could sort of get around. When many years ago, I spoke French reasonably well, but I have forgotten a lot of my French as well. But in general, as a language enthusiast, although I'm monolingual, and as a language teacher, the tip that I used to give my students all the time is change your phone to the language that you want to use, and keep your phone in that language, because everybody can navigate their phone just like blind, right? Everybody knows how to use their phone pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Gain a lot of new words this way. You'll figure out how they're used. It'll kind of force you also to remember to practice, which can be challenging sometimes. I think that's really helpful. And
good one. Mm-hmm.
the last tip I would say is just whatever it is that you like to do it in your target language. So if you like to sew, find sewing patterns in Dutch. If you like to, I don't know, if you like to do CrossFit, join a CrossFit gym that only speaks Dutch. Whatever you like to do it in your target language.
Yeah, do you agree, John?
I'm not informed enough to agree.
Or you have some other
successful at learning any other languages, which is partly because of not following any of the tips that Liz has.
Yeah, well, Liz is not following her own tips.
Yeah, but for you were learning Dutch, and how did it go? Or how does it going? How is it going?
Started and stopped a few times with a few different teachers or different methods, and what's mostly difficult is finding opportunities. Well, we could find opportunities. It's like making the effort to speak it, especially when our jobs are all conducted in English, and most of our socializing is conducted in English. Well, all of our socializing is in English. There's not, you have to make a special effort to speak Dutch, and that's both good and bad. Like, it made moving here much easier because we could use English, but there wasn't that extra like incentive that we had to learn Dutch to, I don't know, restaurant or something.
And what is the biggest challenge when it comes to learning a new language?
For Dutch specifically, I would say that's it. It's just there's
practice.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah,
that's probably true for every language. Yeah. Practice.
Mm-hmm. And so you need to study language quickly. You need a lot of practice here, and it's everywhere. So you can speak with some people at the clubs. You can sign up for some programs there, and you can also learn it just on street, speaking with somebody or with your neighbors. Or
it is theoretically, yes, that's all possible.
Yeah. So in that way, do you think you will be able to learn Dutch in the nearest 1 year or quickly? Because you are here, so not that difficult, I think, or it's something that stops you from speaking with people.
The honest answer, should we give the honest answer?
Yes. We want the honest answer.
The honest answer is that we're lazy.
It's hard.
Oh, it's hard.
Big effort, and
it's not a nice answer. It's not a like.
But it's honest. It's
We're a bit lazy. You're absolutely right. There's Dutch everywhere, and I think we could learn Dutch quickly. I think we've been here long enough that we can do a restaurant interaction. We can do the Albert Heijn supermarket stuff.
I can understand a lot that's written. and
Yeah,
especially if it's related to like food
yeah,
or shopping, but speaking.
yeah. I think we could pick it up quickly, but we don't. We don't. So we will have to, because we want to take the inburgering soon.
Yeah.
So that's our goal for the next 6
Okay, this one. Okay, this is a goal. And if you actually want to study Dutch, how would you search for a course?
I'd probably get recommendations from friends.
Yeah.
That's usually the way that I do things like that, is find somebody that has had success, and get a personal recommendation. There's a lot of different Dutch courses and classes throughout the country and throughout the city. I think there's even programs from the government, if you, depending on your visa status, qualify, but you can get, I think, free language courses.
Yeah, it was before. I don't know if it's still if there's still such a program. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's important to find a good teacher and a course method that suits you, because there are people who are visual or audio visual, and each type requests a different course.
Yeah.
There are a lot of courses on internet, like video courses with a teacher, live courses in a classroom, or video courses without a teacher. So, and 1,000 providers on internet, and free of charge, and for a great deal of money. So that's why it's it's also a challenge to find a good course, and which suits you, which suits your needs.
Yeah, for sure.
And how do you feel about learning a new language online via Zoom or Skype?
We were taking a course when the pandemic started, so it switched from being in person to being over Zoom. I think it's useful. At least my personal preference when things become back to normal is having something in person is what I most want, because that's also the thing I'm most afraid of, is having
Oh, good. So, John,
being with somebody in person. So I'd rather do that. But I think it's however somebody learns best, or I don't know, whatever works for you. If you don't want to, if for some reason Zoom's your only option, or you would choose not to do it if it was in person, then do whatever is available.
it's a good one. Yeah, yeah. And Liz, you too. You can study via Zoom, or do you prefer live lessons?
I prefer live. I definitely prefer live. I think we're very, very lucky to be in a time where it's possible for internet lessons to happen. I think that we're so fortunate, and it definitely I think increases opportunities for people to learn who might not have the resources, or have the time, or have the mobility, or whatever, to take language lessons. I think that's all really important. But I personally prefer to be in a room with people, to have a more sort of natural engagement with people, with other learners, or with the teacher. I think, it just works a little bit better for me personally.
Yeah. Okay. And what is the most interesting thing about you that's not mentioned before?
Oh.
What would you like to add? Because it's a final question.
Well, there's many interesting things about, but the most interesting, that's the challenging one. I'll say like a lot of people, I developed a new hobby during the Corona lockdown period, and mine was mixing cocktails.
Wow.
We really don't go out to the bars anymore. I thought we'd bring the bar here. So I'm now an amateur cocktail bartender at home. That's my interesting fact.
I'll steal from you. My own Corona hobby. I guess I had two of them. One of them was, like the rest of the world, I got into sourdough baking, and I also got into cultivating home plants, indoor plants.
Oh, yeah. Where are your plants? Is this one? Yeah, a nice flower I see there. Yeah.
I've got some over here. I've got some over there. We just got two more today.
You have a little garden at home.
It's like 20 different potted plants in this room.
More
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah, it's very nice that you guys have so nice hobbies, and this is because of COVID.
Yeah.
You develop them. Sorry.
We don't have a palm tree in the background like you do.
Oh, okay, but maybe for future plans.
Yeah.
Future plans for future plans.
That plant.
So then, yeah, I would like to thank you for this nice interview and for your time. And I think that I have my passion for language. So because being a teacher is actually helping to find a clarity for the students. And every single person needs somebody in life who hold their space and help and support them without any judgment. So it's a beautiful thing. And I want to share all my experience with new learners and you and on how to learn languages quickly. So then enjoy your time here. And it was nice meeting you. And I wonder what will New Year brings to you, and which unexpected things and hobbies and maybe new experiences in your life. So I wish you good luck. Yeah, and
You.
I don't know if we shared any secrets today, but maybe we provided some information.
no, it's I think it's good information and handy in how to learn language and what do you think and how are you, your presence. Yes, it's also good. So it's nice meeting you and how we say in Dutch, tot ziens. Yeah, okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.